The member from Anoka, Representative Abeler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm still a little hoarse, so I'll apologize for that. I like speaking after my classmate, Representative Biskins. People might say, how did you come out of the same class, Madam Speaker? Oh, that's what you did too. How did we all come out of the same class? Wasn't that quite a year? 1998. Actually, since 1998, we have failed to do the job on this topic, also by coincidence. Sometimes you're home on a Sunday afternoon and the sun's out and you're walking the dog and nobody calls. There's no one around. It's a quiet park. That wasn't this weekend. I didn't feel lonely this weekend, Madam Speaker and members. I didn't feel lonely at all. In fact, I have 800 unopened emails, not for lack of trying. I just kind of skimmed the ones that looked like they were interesting to read from trying to find some local ones. I got, if you want to know what your people think, I can tell you, each of you, what your people think. And they were both happy and unhappy, depending upon how much they know. I took some calls, and some actually used a word I could barely stand against, boondoggle. No, please don't use the B word, the boondoggle. They thought that would be an effective word as they described how they understood the bill. But unfortunately, they didn't understand the bill. And they didn't understand the problem. And I told them about the report that the legislative auditor put out about the state highways and bridges, calling the situation grim. Now, I know the legislative auditor, he's not a partisan. He works for all of us. And their crew, they are deeply interested in policy. They called it grim. And it's very depressing reading on those Sunday afternoons if you would read this, but you'd be more aware of the problem. And they also said there's money available for preservation only, which is kind of bad when you want a lane out your way on Highway 10 to get rid of some of the congestion. I do have to commend again the Minnesota Chamber. They read the report. They've been living this report. They know that their people can't get across town during peak times, and even not peak times now. And so they took up the, they became the compromisers. They became the surrogate for us, for me. They became the surrogate for the governor, and they waded into this thing with both their feet, and they courageously took on this topic on behalf of their membership, and there was compromise. This bill is smaller than last year. This bill has reform in it. MnDOT has to face the scrutiny of the Chamber of Commerce, not known for being easy softball negotiators. The Chamber of Commerce and the business partnership are exactly the opposite. They're a bunch of jerks when it comes to their negotiating. They're going to go after the MnDOT and say, why are you picking projects like this? What are you doing with the money we gave you? MnDOT should fear this task force. It's in the report. There is compromise. I was so happy with the amendments that came out. I was not part of hardly any discussions. And each amendment that came out, I thought, that's a good amendment. That makes the bill even better. You know, it's a quarter cent lower in the sales tax. It's a number that people can afford. The Chamber can afford it. Was this an ugly process? Madam Speaker, I do have to comment that the process, once again, was the making of sausage. This process is not a tidy process. It's not a tidy process. You have 201 players and a governor, and everybody's got an interest, everybody's got a thought. And out of that comes a bill that the Minnesota Chamber supports. And I don't know if 90 of us are going to support this today or not. We're going to find out whenever I quit talking. But I want to tell you, members, I don't think there's another plan coming. I think this is it. And I just want to remind people how we've tried to resolve this. Before 2004, when gas was $1.40, remember when, we couldn't get a 3-cent gas tax, which is a purely user fee out of this body. Do you remember that? And in 2005, when gas was $2, we couldn't get a dime. And there was no recession. And last year, we couldn't get a dime when there was $3 gas and no recession. And now we've got a bill that starts at 2 cents. You know, the people calling me thought it was like a quarter or something, you know. I said, do you realize it starts at 2 cents? 2. Can I use a prop on the floor, 2 cents? But I do want to warn you, it's going to go all the way to a nickel. A nickel. A nickel so you can get across town. A nickel so maybe your kid won't get killed on a bad intersection on 47 where it gets really wet and twisty and turny and the roads are dangerous. And there's no money to fix it. A nickel. I'm going to go to the funeral of one of my friends, I hope never, and say, would you have paid a nickel? But the Chamber couldn't wait any longer. Business couldn't wait any longer. We tried and we tried. The truckers stopped in my office today. I didn't know they were on board. They said, we're truckers. We got to pay all this money. They said, We don't want to pay the money, but we know we have to because we have to do something. I've been on radio shows. I've been on some radio shows where I've given quotes. I've been on some radio shows where they've called me in names. Names that I wouldn't call you or anybody that I didn't want to make a joke about. They used to be called slander, the name call on radio shows, and you get to hide behind your microphone. Jason Lewis, who's a relatively small market radio talk guy, I think he's got a 1.5 points still. I mean, that's not like the good neighbor, you know. He's been calling me names. He has people calling me up, writing me emails based upon like 1/10 of the story. At least if you're going to have him call me, tell him the whole story. Tell him the chamber supports it. Tell him it's 2 cents. Tell him all the gas tax goes to roads and bridges. Tell him there's reform in the bill. And my good friend Phil Krinky, the Taxpayers League, I'm on their blog. Call Jim and Kathy. We didn't feel lonely. Part of why I'm doing this today is because they did this. I don't know why they would do it again. I thought they would be fair. These are people who have really good citizens listening to them. These are their bread and butter citizens. These people have jobs. They have good families. They care. They pay their taxes, and they're obedient to laws. And they tell them the half the truth, and they call me up and they embarrass themselves because they don't know the whole story. Please, if you're going to tell the story, tell all of it. And I want to remind Jason and Phil. Phil's is he my friend anymore? I don't know, but he's my good former colleague. Do you remember that a bridge fell down, Jason? Do you remember that a bridge fell down, Phil? Do you remember that? People died over a bridge. It was our bridge. For heaven's sakes. And so tell me, what is your plan to address the needs of the report? I want to hear it. And I don't want to hear a report that says take money from the waste and all the stuff. Nobody who has any knowledge of this topic agrees with that. It's not true. There's not enough waste to pay $1.5 billion a year to solve the gap that we have in this great hole we have. We have a constitutional duty. I swore to uphold the Constitution. Education, public safety, transportation. We address in depth education and public safety. Can we do more? Oh yeah, but we try hard. We talk about it. There's money every year, and there's a budget. There's inflation built into all those bills. Not in this one, not for a decade. We have a duty. People said, well, what about your career? My career here? Well, how can you dare to go against all these people who are obviously going to hurt you so badly politically? And I think, this isn't my career. My career is in Anoka. My career is serving people as a chiropractor. My career is serving my family. I hope none of us think of this as their career. It's a great place to come. It's a great place to serve. So I tell my kids, do what's right, whatever the cost. And so the time comes when I have to do what I believe to be right against some very good friends of mine, against the people who have supported me through 5 elections, who have given me money, who I respect and who I like, and I have to say, I don't agree with you. I'm sorry. I have a job to do. You elected me to go and do a job. My pastor once told me something, I've never forgotten it. He said, it's never wrong to do the right thing. It's never right to do the wrong thing. It's never too late to do the right thing. I never forgot that. I tell my kids that. And I don't know how many votes there are today. Having made my decision, if there's 89 votes, Madam Speaker, I'm not going to ask to be turned to red when I vote green today. I'm going to stay as the 89th vote until there's 90, if we can get that many. And if not, it's not my responsibility. I have my responsibility for my vote. What I think is that we're to the time now, there was compromise. I think, with all respect to your side, you've gone as low as you can go. I don't think, if we took it down another quarters, another 1/8 of a cent or another penny, that I don't think we'd have 90 votes. On either 85 on your side. I think on our side, I think the chamber has driven the bill up as high as it can go. I think the question now is deal or no deal. And I think that if you've watched that show, which I watch regularly, they almost make the wrong choice. They should have taken the deal when they could have got the $214,000. They go home with $50 in the case. I think the case sitting out there that we think is waiting for us has $50 in it. That's why I'm going to vote yes today. I don't think we should get stuck with a $50 case. Members, I urge us by a vote of 100 today to do this and get this on its way and do the job. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate it.